Mortal Kombat review. What's going on, everyone? I'm the Viking. This is my review for Mortal Kombat. Now, you can get this movie in limited theaters and on HBO Max. I will try not to spoil anything here too major in this review, but definitely check out the movie. I would recommend it. Now look, this movie based on the highly successful video games that have been around for 20 plus years. We've had movies as well, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We've had some series as well. So look, they've tried and tried again to make Mortal Kombat a live action hit, and they've failed, in a lot of times, but they're back now with this new movie, and there's loads of potential for a sequel, maybe even spin-offs, and hopefully this movie is successful enough to get that, because I think the movie has a lot going for it, and I think a lot of people will like the movie, so I would love to see this expanded more. And look, it is set up for a sequel, it is set up for more, so I definitely want to see that in the future, and I'm actually excited to see what this team can bring to us. But I just think the writing needs to improve, and maybe some of the character development, and maybe the character introduction and the world building of this world. But look, Mortal Kombat is a really good movie. I enjoyed it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, it's not going to win any awards or anything like that, it doesn't have unbelievable script writing, but what it is, it's a lot of fun. The action sequences are absolutely brilliant, gore, blood, really good stuff. Some of the characters are really likeable, especially Kano. Sub-Zero is absolutely brilliant as well. There's other characters I don't really care for that much because they weren't really developed, but it is frustrating because look, there's a lot of characters in this movie from the game. And from the game, we love them, they're awesome and stuff like that. But when you bring them into a live-action movie, you want to see more character development. You want to see these characters have a deeper layer to them. You want to care for them. And in this movie, you didn't really care for any of these characters if they died or lived. Maybe if you played the video games, you would care for the characters because you're so used to playing with them for all these years. But if you're a newcomer and you've never played the games, and you're coming in to watch this movie, when people die or they're in danger, do you really care because you don't get that backstory to them? There's only one character you really get a backstory to, and that's Cole, this brand new character that's brought into the Mortal Kombat universe. But other than that, any other character that looked to be dead or was dying, I didn't really care for because there was nothing to care about them. That's something that I need them to improve in the sequel. Now maybe we will care for them more in the sequel because we've seen them this time around, and then they can give us more of a backstory to the characters. Now the action sequences, of course, you could go in and say, look, if it gives me awesome action, blood, guts, cool one-liners, I'm going to be happy. And you will get a lot of that in this movie. You really, really will. But the opening sequence with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, which was released the other day as well, they released it before the movie came out, so it's not spoilers, is brilliant. It's really well done. The action sequence is there. It's all one shot. It's really good martial arts. You're like, oh my god, the rest of this movie is going to be absolutely insane. I'm so pumped, and the movie's just about to start. And I think the opening sequence of this movie is one of the strongest points to it. There's a huge kind of gap in the middle of the movie where there's loads of action and one-liners and action and blood and guts and all that kind of stuff, but it's not as interesting as maybe the first action sequence and maybe the last act of the movie, because those two acts are absolutely brilliant. So the stuff in the middle gets a bit stuffy and you're just kind of, what exactly is going on? And because the opening scene is really well done. The choreographed action sequences between the two characters, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, the actors, really well done, really well performed, and really thought out. But then you go to a different action scene in the middle of the movie, and the editing is off, some of the acting is off, the camera chops too much, and the action sequences isn't as well done as the opening or the final act, which is a shame, because you would think that they brought in two different stunt teams into this, or two different action teams into this to do the movie, because you're like, wow, this is great, but this one right here looks completely different from this one. Is it the same team that really thought this out? Because it doesn't look like it. That's something that they need to improve on as well. But the action overall is really good. There's some cool kind of one-liners that are echoing what the games would do as well, so that's going to really get fans pumped. Mortal Kombat fans pump when they hear certain pieces of dialogue, when they see certain bits of items and stuff like that. You're going to get really pumped and really excited for this as well, which is awesome. It's really cool. But yeah, the overall look, the plot for this movie, we all know, look, it's Earth versus the Outworld, and if the Outworld win one more kind of Mortal Kombat match tournament, then they win the world. they have Earth. But so in this movie, the main plot is MMA fighter Cole Young seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high stakes battle for the universe. Now, I will say this because I know a lot of people were expecting this in the movie. There is no Mortal Kombat tournament. which is very interesting because it's from the game Mortal Kombat. You're making a movie and there's no tournament. It's kind of it's a bit weird, but it's definitely eyeing up for sequels. The second, maybe or a third movie to definitely do the Mortal Kombat tournament, because the Mortal Kombat tournament is not every year, it's not every 2 years, it's every generation, every so many decades. So it would make sense that they're building up to it, but they have to get there first. They have to make a good first movie that's successful for a sequel to come. But there is no Mortal Kombat tournament in this, which is a shame. And maybe they should have maybe told us that in the trailers or the marketing for the movie, because a lot of people will go in, having played the games, expecting a Mortal Kombat tournament, and they're probably going to be a little bit disappointed, which is a shame. So, but look, Cole Yun is the main character, brand new character brought into this franchise. And look, the actor isn't the best. His acting isn't great, but he's a likable. He's a very likable guy. He doesn't really have much about him as in terms of like his charisma or anything like that, but he's an okay guy. He's okay. But he's the only character that you really get a backstory for. Maybe him and Scorpion. And you get to see Cole Yun's his wife and his kid and stuff like that, which is nice, and you kind of feel for those characters a little bit. But Cole Yun as a star of this movie, I don't really buy it. And a lot of people were disappointed that Johnny Cage wasn't appearing in this one. He wasn't the star. Where's Johnny Cage? It makes no sense. But I'll just say that they're building towards that. I like what they did at the end of the movie, where they definitely set up that for the sequel, or maybe even the third movie, because I thought that was done really, really well, and actually got me pumped for a sequel, and I'm sure we'll get many other people pumped as well. But yeah, look, Earth's greatest champions. You meet Kano as well. Kano, I would say Kano and Sub-Zero are probably the best characters in this movie. And the two of them are just really, really good, because Sub-Zero is cool, he's scary, he's got awesome action, he's brutal, he'll kill anybody, and that's kind of cool. And then Kano is kind of like the Deadpool of this movie, because he's very funny, one-liners, making jokes out of everything. He's really getting everyone's nerves, and Kano was absolutely brilliant, and I would love to see more of that character. But it was an interesting thing as well, because Sub-Zero, when he appears, because his thing is ice, his powers is ice and to make you into a frozen popsicle, which is kind of scary. So there's a kind of an action sequence in the movie where they're in this kind of town. I'm sure the town's not used to snow and cold weather and stuff, and then someone goes, it's snowing, and then it gets real chilly, and then you can see ice and stuff, and then Sub-Zero appears, which was awesome. It was pretty cool, and get you kind of, oh my god, who's going to come here? And it was Sub-Zero, which was awesome. And there's other kind of characters as well from the game. You got Jax as well, which was pretty cool. He's a likable guy as well, but again, there was no backstory to the character. There was nothing to really say, oh my god, yeah, I love this guy because this happened. Nothing really. You got Liu Kang as well, and you got Kun Lao, characters who were loved from the games, but there wasn't much to really love about them in this movie. And it's like they said, okay, we're making a Mortal Kombat movie. Okay, let's just pick these characters and put them in the movie. Let's not give any backstory. Let's not give any kind of world building to these characters whatsoever. Let's just make a Mortal Kombat movie without the tournament, which is kind of, again, is weird. But yeah, so there's a lot of characters from the game, but they're not given time to be developed. And I'm sure average audiences who haven't played the game are going to be like, well, that character was kind of cool. Oh, he's gone. He's dead. Oh, okay. But then it's Mortal Kombat. Does anyone really die? Will these characters who die in this movie come back for the second one? Probably, in a way. They'll find some way to do it. But yeah, look, the VFX as well was pretty good. I have to say, it was awesome. It really was. And look, if the action sequences were as good as they are in this movie, but the VFX was poor, you'd be like, oh, this is a really, really bad movie. But look, they got what they needed to get right. They got the action, the gore, the blood, the one-liners, the VFX. Those were the important elements, and they got those right for the movie. So I'm glad they did. It's good signs. So hopefully the same VFX team can be brought on to the sequels to do this as well, because the film did look really, really well. And some of the areas that they find themselves in terms of where they have battles kind of suits the world that they've built up. Another thing this movie had as well, it had a runtime of about an hour and 50 minutes. It needed more. It really did. Now, it's Warner Brothers. We know that they've cut up so many movies in the past. We know that Godzilla v Kong was cut up as well. A lot of footage was taken out of it. I just hope Mortal Kombat wasn't the same thing. And look, and it makes me think that Warner Brothers did the exact same thing again. They chopped up this movie because it needed a little bit more. It could have done with an extra 20 minutes, 25 minutes, because the first act, well, the first scene happens, then the movie starts, and then it kind of has no kind of first act. It just has the middle act, and that's on for a very long time, and then we have the final act, which isn't that long. So it just feels like there was a lot cut out, and maybe on the cutting room floor there is character development, there is background to these characters, and if there is, why would you cut that out? Because I want to care for these characters. And I'm sure audiences want to care for these characters because that will make us come back for more. We want to care for these characters, see the journey they're on. But yeah, man, it just feels like a lot maybe was cut out of the movie. And yeah, it could have been longer. It really could. And I hope Warner Bros. Didn't touch it, but they probably did. Yeah, and as I say, look, Outworld is trying to win the last tournament so they can take over the world. But before the tournament even starts, the kind of the leader of the Outworld, Shang Tsung, is kind of like, what if we take out Earth's champions before they can even get to the tournament? And that's basically what this kind of movie does. They send around Sub-Zero to take on these Earth heroes and to kill them off before the tournament even starts, which was not a bad idea. But then you got Lord Radon, who is kind of the guy who's over all Earth's champions, trying to train them and stuff and trying to recruit them all to fight against the Outworld. So yeah, that's basically what the main plot of the movie is. And then we get to see them train a little bit, then fight. There's nothing too deep to the movie other than that, which was okay. But then there's another kind of cool element in the movie is that some of Earth's greatest champions, they were born with the Mortal Kombat kind of logo. They call it the birthmark in the movie, and that gives you kind of entry into the tournament. So that was a new kind of thing that they brought into it, which I thought was kind of pretty smart. Yeah, so that's basically what this movie did. It kind of set up a lot of things. It world built a little bit, and it needed a little bit more for me to develop this story and what the actual world is about. But look, it was a good start, I think, to the actual franchise, and I hope more gets to be made. But it needs to be successful, the first one. It really, really does. And then we get to see Johnny Cage and those kind of characters that we love come into the sequel. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But I think, look, the dialogue isn't the best. It's not well written. Some of the editing is off, but they got the main things right. You will have a good time with this movie. All the action, some of the one-liners from the game, the characters from the game. I think you're going to enjoy this kind of thing. Some people would hate the movie, some people would love the movie. Some parts of this film are actually boring, some parts are actually insane and really well done. And it's a shame that the entire movie couldn't be done like that, especially the first scene and the last scene. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But look, what's your thoughts on Mortal Kombat? Have you always been a fan of the games? I've played them up and down and stuff throughout the years. I've played, not consistently, but I've played different versions of the games before. And look, it's always a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun. Just go in, not thinking too much, sit down, get your popcorn, enjoy it, sit down, take it for what it is, and I think you'll have a really good time. I think you will, but don't be trying to make it complicated. The movie doesn't even try and do that, so why should you as a viewer? But guys, what was your thoughts on Mortal Kombat? If you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Come back, let me know in the comments, give a like, comment, subscribe, come follow me on all the social medias at Movies That Matter. You search it and you'll find me. But guys, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Mortal Kombat. And do you think this film has the potential for a franchise? Some of the actors were saying that they're signed on for 4 or 5 movies. It's a bad thing to kind of put out there because there was supposed to be, 7 Power Ranger movies, and the Monster World was supposed to happen as well. But then it's all about the first movie needs to hit well with audiences and make money. So hopefully this one can do that. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And until next time, enjoy and be kind. Mortal Kombat! Unless you're in Mortal Kombat, then you need to fight because you need to stop the Outworld. Or maybe you're on the Outworld and you're trying to defeat Earth.